remember the numbers.
The counted cross stitch. I'm making a late Christmas present for the kids, my grandkids.
Make it an early one for next year.
Well, I was supposed to. Well, it's okay if you didn't get it at Christmas. Valentine's Day is coming and it's coming around the corner, and I still don't have it done. So there's 7 chickies.
That's all.
8 turtles and 9 ladybugs.
Oh, these are the best ones.
Yep, those ladybugs. Not turtles. They eat our marigolds every year.
Will they come in?
Turtles eat marigolds.
They eat our marigolds. They eat our flowers right out of our post there, at the bottom of the side post.
Did you ever catch them? Make soup?
No, never find them. Every year they do though.
They make good soup if they're the mud turtles.
I'd love to find them. They probably are mud turtles.
You know, one time on a Friday, your dad had dropped off a mud turtle. Oh, maybe about that size. Didn't fit in the soup.
A big one.
Didn't fit in the soup kettle. And so, how the heck am I to get this out of here? And somebody told me that you put it in boiling water and the shell will crack or break off, or what do you want to call it, split. So I did that, first one end and the other end. And after I got it out, then I scraped everything out. And I must have had half a dozen eggs in there, nice round eggs like this. And then I said, well, I know what I'm going to do with it. They say it tastes like chicken, so I'll make some soup. It was on a Friday, see. And the wind was from the east, coming through the house, out the back porch. And Mother and I were standing on the back porch, and Rhea come over and she says, "You making chicken soup on Friday?" I said, "Smells just like chicken." I said, "No, we're having turtle soup." "Oh yeah, we used to have that once in a while out on the farm." "Okay, we'll give you some later on." So we made the soup. Mother wouldn't touch it. She saw the ugly thing that looked like it, had moss on it, and I don't know what the heck else. But it tastes real good. But, I remember Mom never would take it. But Rhea, she enjoyed it. What are you, on Friday you're having chicken soup? Hey. Well.
Did John ever tell you the time that he was out to the farm, Dorset farm there, and he shot some frogs, and he was cooking them. Nobody would touch them.
Nobody wanted them. Nobody wanted them.
When they're cooking, they're jumping all over. The legs are
wiggling, you know.
Nobody would touch them.
And by the time you got them cooked and sitting down to eat them, everybody wanted that taste. When they got a taste, they wanted it. No, I said, you didn't want it. All you get is a taste. One piece and everybody tastes it. This rest is all mine.
They're good. I had frog legs once. They're good.
I used to buy them in the store.
Well, they taste something like chicken too.
Yeah, and their legs look something like chickens, but they're closer together.
A little smaller too.
Yeah. After about the third time I get them, they didn't taste that good anymore. They come from South Africa, I think. So
really?
They weren't really fresh, but they were frozen.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But, I guess down there it's colder than it is up here sometimes. I always thought Africa was hot.
The top.
Yeah, the top.
Yeah.
Uncle Andrew, these are some of the questions which Dad talked about last time, but probably there's some things that you remember, because he has a better forgetter, I think, than you.
Well, catching up.
I'm going to hurry so you can't catch up to me.
The whole thing about who were the first family members to settle in the country. Why don't you talk about it? See if you remember the same things that he did.
I think that Edvansky's were the first, as far as Pa's family is concerned.
Not Mrs. Kovacs then, huh?
I don't know. They're all related there. They might have all come at the same time. None of them are left we can ask anymore. You know, when Mother was sick in bed, she used to talk from the time she was 3 years old, on the door and or on the wall, and I'd come over and it'd be 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. She said, "I can't sleep. I want to talk." Well, most of the time she'd tell the whole story all over again. You know, when she came, how old she was, and she came over on a boat and was responsible for 2 stepsisters and a stepbrother. I think she was 17 years old, and
Do you know which was older, Mrs. Radvansky or Mrs. Kovach?
I think Mrs. Kovach was.
Then John Macy. Jack Macy must have been older than George Radvansky then, huh?
Yeah.
Well, usually would you think that the older one would come over first?
Well, I didn't know if they come over first or if they come over together.
They might have come about the same time.
I never did hear. Of course, what they ordinarily would be, one would come and then
earn some money and then
find
bring
a
the
place
others.
or something, yeah.
That's what I thought, but I
But
wasn't sure.
knowing them, I don't think everybody gave anybody the money to come over.
Mm-hmm.
They were tight.
Which ones were these?
Kovach and
Kovach.
Radvansky. They were sisters.
Now, Mrs. Kovach, her name was Julia,
Julia Kovach.
and she would walk from Harbor Avenue down Mary Street, 24th Street, sometimes in mud. You know, it was much steeper than it is now. And she'd come over to visit and talk to Ma.
Way out to Benefit Street, huh?
Well, I don't remember Benefit
Oh.
Street. I remember Lake Avenue. Benefit
Oh.
Street, they could have been there.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, she would rarely take her shawl off. And I couldn't figure out why she wouldn't. You know, they come when they come in the house, take it off and fix their hair, whatever they got to do. But I found out after a while that she was bald.
Oh my
Yeah.
golly.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Ah.
She had real fuzzy hair, real small. So I don't know what made it drop out. Maybe some illness. I don't know.
Ah.
Huh.
But I don't remember too much about the Rudvanskys, except that they want to look down on us. I do know that through the Depression and all, George Rudvansky kept his job on the railroad by furnishing bootleg for all the bosses.
Hello.
Hi, honey.
I'm close to a cola.
No, I told you no.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, come.
Moms are so mean.
Daddy, you dumb. Daddy, you dumb.
No.
I just told somebody, Father Malik, I told Father Malik about that the other day. I remember any time that we needed to make a phone call, somebody'd have to ring up the Rudvanskys to make the phone call.
Yeah, I told him about when I had whooping cough. I don't know, I was about 5, 6 years old. Middle of the night, Mother woke Dad up, and Dad ran all the way up to Nathan Avenue on Prospect Street to call Dr. Hogan. By the time Dr. Hogan got here, Mother had made a real hot mustard plaster and stopped my whooping cough. His mother was sure I was going to choke to death. It was that bad. And by the time the doctor came, saw me, he said, "You did just fine. There's nothing else I have to do." Yeah.
When we had a bad croup, bad cough.
Oh, real
cough.
bad whooping cough. Just couldn't get my breath. That's what I remember.
Mother used to make her own cough medicine. Milk, Vaseline, and put coal oil in it.
Wow.
Stirred up with a little sugar in it, so it wasn't solid, but it wasn't liquid. And you take that, you could swallow it.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
I
And
could,
that, just like Vicks Vapor Rub, you know, like that vapor.
I could swallow that a little better than castor oil. Castor oil is one of the best cure-alls. Absolutely cure all ill. I never forget, I must have been only in about the 2nd grade, no, it must have been the 3rd grade because I was going to Catholic school then. And I didn't want to go to school. I told my mother I was sick. Okay, you can stay home. So as soon as all the rest had gone, a great big tablespoon of castor oil. Wow, I was never sick after that.
Oh, you were lucky. You only got it when you tried to get out of school. had the flu, and so did I when I was born.
Yeah.
I was 3 months old. I couldn't even move in the crib.
Another old partner died when Andrew was born.
And I always had a bowel problem all the time. And I can remember, I don't know how many times a week or day or whatever it was, but that it chased me all over the house in order to get me to castor oil. And after a while, as things progressed, somebody told Mom, squeeze some orange juice, and get the orange juice, put a little more sugar in it, and stir the castor oil up in Mom, and give it to him, let it drink it fast. Well, you can drink it, like that, but the castor oil is heavy. All goes down, by the time you get up here, the castor oil's in the bottom. And instead of the best taste you're getting last, you're getting the worst. I start pushing away, Mom, stick your finger in there. I'll swallow it. It's the only thing going to save your life. So, really, I was a voting age before I could eat an orange.
Wow.
We didn't have many oranges in those days,
Right.
but it was a big sacrifice to get an orange and put it in there for me. I remember somebody eating it, I don't know, John or somebody eating the peelings after it. But John, he said, look, there's nothing wrong with taking it. He takes a bottle of good little. It never bothered him, I suppose he had to go, but he could take it down and
Castor oil. Oh.
And John used to just drink it out of the bottle.
Yeah.
Show him how good it is.
Show him how good it was.
Look at it. I'll be hiding behind the door. I says, leave some for him, leave some for Andrew. For him, not for you. Then when I was on the lake, so I, of course, doing so much standing, I didn't get the proper exercise. And I thought I was eating the right food. I ate a lot of salads and fruits and stuff, but I still had a problem with my bowels. So I used mineral oil. And somebody saw me take it out and, oh, how can you stand on your own? I said, how can you stand olive oil on your salad? Same thing, I just don't have the salad. It's practically tasteless.
Yeah.
And then after a while I found out that mineral oil hurts you. It doesn't help you. It'll help you move your bowels.
Yeah, but it's not good for you.
It'll coat the food somehow that you don't get the value out of it.
Yeah.
And you develop something else.
More problems.
Yeah. But it served me well while I was out there. In fact, I still have some at home. You like some?
No, thank you. It's all right.
Put it on your salad?
No, thank you.
I think it ought to be rancid by now.
That way it'll have a flavor.
No, I don't think that turns rancid since it's minerals.
It's not vegetable, it's mineral.
Kind what about your dad's side? In terms of who was over here, who came to this United States?
That's my dad's side, Kovac and Radvansky.
Oh, I thought you said that was your mom.
No.
Oh, that's right, Dad.
Mrs. Radonsky, Mrs. Kovac, and Dad were brother and sister.
Right.
Mrs.
Manuel.
Kolchak and Miss Manuel were half.
I thought Mr. Kochak was half brother.
Mr. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Mr. Kochak was half brother, and Mrs. Manuel was a half sister.
Yeah, that's right.
They were the younger ones.
Right.
I remember Dad was helping Uncle put a tarp paper on top of his shed out there where he built it out there in the orchard. And I guess Dad got too close to it, and Uncle was afraid he was going to step on it and the pebbles would cut through it. So he kind of hollered at Pa, yeah, tell me what to do. I thought he was going to smack him. Younger brother.
What about your mom's side?
Mom was the first one to come, of course. She came with,
Well, her dad
Well,
was.
Dad was here. Her dad was here first.
yeah, her dad was here first.
Yeah.
And he
that's
was the
right.
one down in the mine.
Right.
What do you remember hearing about your grandfather?
Well, I remember hearing that his wife had mother, and then she had another baby, but she was stillborn, I think, and the mother died too. Mother told us about that much. And also, when Mother was 3 or 4 years old, she had to go work for her uncle in order to give her room and board. She she had to do all the chores.
Was that the geese tending that you were talking
Geese
about?
tending, yeah, and also they had to make a fire in their big stove that they had. It was out of, I don't know, cement or something like that, you know, baked mud or something. And come 3 o'clock in the morning, her uncle would holler, Julish, hey, mine found. Julie, get up. Time to make the fire. They wouldn't have got out and get their feet cool, so she had to get up. And most of the time, she was so darn sleepy, she'd fallen asleep. It's like tending the geese outside. And the only place they could go is along the road. That's only the grass that was available. They would dare go on the
Garden.
the landed people's property, you know. And so you get out there, and there was one old gander always watched. When it get cold in March, April and March, you know, the wind is still cold, the grass is there. So she snuggled down a little bit in the weeds, and just as soon as her head went down like this, the old gander take off with the right cross and go over. Next thing she know, her stepmother's right there, pow, 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 pow. Yeah. I didn't know which way to run.
Wow.
There they go and get him. And her stepmother tried to leave her behind when she was getting ready to come
Yeah,
over.
but well, does anybody know how her real mother died?
I think
Childbirth.
In childbirth, that's what he was
okay.
talking about.
Oh, the stillborn child?
Yeah.
She died giving birth to the
Yes,
stillborn
yes,
child.
yes,
Oh.
Wow.
yes.
And that would have been the second child?
Mother was the first.
Oh.
Second.
One thing that mother used to like is that in the spring when the ewe lamb, her dad would bring her out there to hold the little baby lamb.
Does anybody want any more? Want any more?
Thanks.
Thanks.
No,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
I told them that over those countries at that time, there was only one alternative when a father or of a mother of a family died. They just had to get another mate because there's no such thing as widow or pension, social security, or nothing like that. You have to get somebody.
Not even children's home.
That's right. You have to get somebody to get into the family and continue raising that family. Even if they knew that there would not be a very good mother or father.
Now the mother's stepmother was the second wife, and then Grandpa I think had 2 more over here. They all died.
Oh,
Wow.
that I didn't
We
know.
went down to after Dad died. We took Mother down to
Coshocton.
not Coshocton. What is that? It sounded like a country in Africa.
Yeah. Only once have I been able to remember the name of that little town. It's a tiny little town, I guess it's south of Coshocton, where our grandfather died. It's like an African name.
Well, anyway,
Can you want a drink of water?
that doesn't help.
Oh, I thought maybe it was. Oh, it's down
No,
lower.
It's down in the.
It-
There's a lot. You know,
Oh, I
It's a
thought there was-
constant.
if I
irritating.
pour water down there, I'm gonna have more of a problem.
I thought it was your throat that was bothering you.
Well, it comes out that I should. I can remember about Grandpa that he was on a dynamite team.
Yeah.
And they had set dynamite to go off and didn't go. And it waited past the time that they should have gone. It waited. So he and his buddy went across this route, made the turn in the mine, and the thing went off. He was crushed from here down. And they didn't have anything to do for him. They didn't have enough pain pills or anything, but they had him at home. And
They took him to his home.
his home.
Well, do you know, like, was he renting a room, or did he
No,
have a little? He owned a little building or something.
whether he owned it or not, he was living in a building.
Okay.
And he had, they fixed a rope up to the ceiling. So when the pain got bad, he'd get a hold and pull on that. The doctor had to come, I don't know how often he could come to take his urine away. He was just crushed and he just died there.
What, a few days, I think you said?
Few days, yeah. And they didn't notify my mother until after you were dead.
Yeah.
One time,
When the stepmother came over, did she go down there and live
yeah,
in this town, whatever this town was?
yeah. Boy, not Boy, no.
That was in just
No,
Czechoslovakia,
no,
wasn't it?
this was, it almost came to me, but it didn't. But before he died, well, he came up once to visit. He came up once to visit Mother and the family. And didn't stay long, he had to go back, I don't know, overnight or whatever.
So he only visited one time
Yeah,
to Ashtabula.
sometime, and I think they lived down at
Harbor
Harbor
Avenue.
Avenue at the time.
Mother had only about 2 or 3 children then.
But one time after that, why she went down to visit him because he was sick. Or was it after the funeral? I forgot which. But they got on a train and they came to a stop. Looked like it was in nowhere. Came to a stop and the conductor says, "This is where you get off." She got off, real early in the morning. It was still dark. And so she got all 2 boys' hands. She said, "Which way they go?" He says, "That way." So
She had what?
there was a
Hold
path.
hands? She had
Hold
two.
the 2 little boys'
boys.
hands, John and Steve.
Oh, okay.
They start going, and out of the dark, a voice comes to her. And Anjo, Mogo, Otemogo, is that you? And I guess whoever it was afraid to come out until she could get an answer too. But she said, "Yeah, who am I?" So they, "Okay, follow me, follow close because you have to go through this path and through the weeds and whatever." Took them and they visited on one day or whatever it was, and then they came back. Congo.
Congo. Congo. Write that down right away.
Yes.
Congo.
Congo.
Now,
It's
if
written
John
there
were
now.
here, or Steve, they could tell you something about it, what happened down there. But that is all I can remember.
A very small village south of Coshocton,
You see,
mining district.
there were open mines there that weren't covered and they're full of gas. And they weren't covered like so kids or people wouldn't fall in them. So there were some kids playing there, and one fell down in there, and of course, moments later was dead, and the other one climbed down and tried to help him out. And I think there was a 3rd child. I don't know. I don't think they were related, but that's the way things happened down there. 3rd child hollered, and an adult came, grown man. And of course, he worked in the mine. He knew how unsafe it was there going without a mask. But he went down, tried to get the kids out. His brother came, and by the time he got in there, his brother was dead.
Oh my.
And then the second guy died in there. So they had rescuers had to come with masks in order to pull them out. So you see how careless they were in those days. There's no safety precautions.
No state compensation,
Oh,
no nothing.
no, nothing.
The
Wow.
poor slaves can die. We got lots of slaves.
When Mother first came over, she worked in a spinning mill,
Passaic, New Jersey.
Passaic, New Jersey.
With a picture of our future godmother and her in the same kind of clothes. You still have that picture,
Yeah.
don't you?
Mrs. Fitz.
What was his last name? Your mother's father?
Same as,
Tuckhatch.
yeah, Tuckhatch.
Kakach. And his first name was?
Steve.
Oh, first name was
I
Steve?
think so. He's trying to.
No, I don't think
No,
it was Steve.
no.
I thought it was Andrash.
We had it.
Or Mihai.
Mihai.
Mihai, Michael,
Mike.
Mihai. Mihai, M-I-H-A-L.
You come in our dining room, we see his picture.
Y.
Where's that?
Big mustache.
M-I-H-A.
Oh, yes.
A-
Yeah.
No,
L-Y,
leading
Mihai.
into the iron.
Parentheses.
Oh, I see.
Michael.
Now I thought that was my grandpa.
No,
Oh.
that was your big man.
T-A-K-A-C-S.
T-A-K-A-C-S.
Well, Grandpa looked like him though, as what I remember about him. Of course, I was only in second grade when he died, but it to me it
Well, when
reminded
Grandpa
me.
died, his hair was gray, and his Grandpa's hair was still dark when I had the picture taken. His facial was different.
He had a
but-
mustache, didn't
Oh
he?
yeah, big one.
Yeah.
Big, thick one.
Thought
That's
he
your
did.
maternal grandfather.
Yeah. You know, he had a good job
So
over
that's
in the old
Mihai
country.
Takash.
He was in charge of all the flocks of the animals. He had to care for them and watch over them and count them, make sure.
Who is this now?
Mihai?
Mike,
Mihai,
yeah.
the coal mine accident.
And
Father.
the
He's just
in-laws,
watching the flocks of the rich people, the nobles.
the rich, in-laws kept after him all the time to steal one so they could have a good meal, you know, after him and after him and after him, after him. And of course his wife kept after him too, so when he did take a ham lamb, and they had a feast on it, but they caught him, and the fellow was over him and says, well, you know, Mike, for such and such a price we can replace the thing and you still have your job. But Mike was kind of a proud man too. He says, I've never worked for my own money in my life. So he's okay, so he lost his job and that's when he had to come over. That's when he come over. And,
Oh, wow.
with all the talk about
War.
the war, not only talk about the war, but talk about the gold bricks on the roads in
streets.
United States.
Yeah.
America.
Boy, he's going to be able to make lots of money and send it home for his family. So he come over and said he never worked that hard in his life. He was wheeling concrete and then putting in that doofenny and carrying it up the ladder. And he never worked that hard in his life.
Where
And
was this?
Somewhere in the East Coast.
Wow.
I don't know where for sure. But mother said he wrote a letter home and saying how hard of a life it is over here. It was much easier over there at that time in his job.
Yeah.
And then, like every place, you didn't have a decent place to sleep, and they charged you more than it should have been, you know. So there wasn't much money going home. But I don't know how they arranged it for for mother to come and with the three brothers and sisters. But they came legally, I guess. And
All at the same time.
yeah,
Yeah.
the three of them. Mother was in charge. She was 17 years old. She never was out of the little state or the village. She was out of the village, but not out of the county or anything. She was scared stiff. She could. There were two guys in black clothes. They looked like they might be. She suspected that they would be government people. So she.
On the boat, you mean?
No, on land yet.
Oh.
Before she left.
Yeah, before, as she
Oh.
was going,
Oh.
she's not in,
Yeah.
not in Hungary anymore. She
Yeah.
was either in Belgium or Germany or
Yeah,
whatever, wherever they had and she wasn't sure which boat to get on or whatever. So, and then the kids started to cry, she was crying, so one of the guys went over there on the QT and asked her, what's the problem? She's not sure which way to go and supposed to, she showed the paper. He said, well, don't make it look like you're following us, but you follow us.
Huh.
And we'll make sure you get on the right ship.
Wow.
And they got her aboard and then they disappeared. Aboard the ship. And on the way coming over,
Wait a minute. Who does she think they were?
Government. Yeah.
Secret Service of the country that they were in.
But as long as they had their papers, they
Yeah.
helped them out.
Yeah.
Huh.
And they were they were looked different from the other people around there, you know. So she's already spotted them. It must be something else. And she's praying to God for help.
Yeah.
Although he sent a couple of angels for her. But, coming over, many of them got sick, of course. We'll go on a little bit. And one of the things that all the passengers got blamed for hollering at them, because when they'd see their porpoises, they'd all get on that side of the ship, and must not have been a big ship, and you know, it was listing, so they had to. They kept after them all the time. They said they darn near starved before they come over.
Get sick, couldn't eat.
Couldn't eat, and they give them stuff they never saw before.
Oh.
They never saw pies before.
Really?
Never saw pies.
Is
There was no
there
such thing as
That's not a
pies.
Hungarian pastry.
Oh.
And they just wouldn't eat it. You know, they just wouldn't eat it. So of course they had to go without. I don't know how long they took to get it. They had something to eat, but maybe bread or something. But,
I suppose they brought a little bit with them of
Yeah.
their own.
So,
Solomon,
and,
can you?
and I don't know about when they got over here. I know they had to go through the Ellis Island, but as to what time it was or who met him or whatever, I don't know. But I know she got a job making thread. And you had the big long machines, even longer than these two rooms. You had to run back and forth, and sometimes they'd get screwed up, you know, and you get balled out and lose your pay because you messed up and stuff. But it was real, a lot of tension running back and forth. And I don't know how she came here to Ashtabula.
Do you know how your grandfather why he got to Southern Ohio? How he ended up there?
I suppose the mine, I suppose.
Mine work,
Mine.
coal mines.
I suppose that being a dangerous job, they probably paid more than a safe job.
So the concrete, he had that concrete mixing and carrying job.
That was on East
And the
Coast.
East
That was on
Coast.
the East Coast, yeah.
And then from there he went here to
Yeah.
Ohio.
Right.
So like Dad's saying, he probably took the job because it was more money and he could send more money back.
I guess that's just a guess.
just a guess.
Hod is what I'm trying. HOD, the thing they carried the cement and the brick there up the ladder to the bricklayers. Hod, HOD.
He had a bad time.
Yeah, you sure did.
What else? Oh yeah, when the time we went down to find his grave, it was after Grandpa died. We got down there, and for decoration, we were there in May, I think. And before Decoration Day, the county or whoever they got the money to take care of the
Stone.
stones in the cemetery, cleaned out all the brush. According to Ann and her husband, they lived down near Coshawk in there. They said that you couldn't even see it on the side of the hill. Couldn't even see it. It was just brush of all kinds and weeds. Got down there, we found his stone.
Oh, you did find it.
Found his stone. And there were stones right next to his. I have 2 or 3 of them where his wife was buried. Wives were buried. I can't remember if there were 3 there or not, but I remember seeing a thing there. And we took a picture, but with the old box camera, it didn't show well because the letters weren't very clear. Anne suggested I paint them before we go so we could take a picture of it.
So you saw his grave.
Yeah.
Oh. You didn't go. You didn't go, Dad.
No, you didn't do that.
Me? No. I just took my mother to her half sister's house. What was her name again? Ann.
And then,
Ann. Budnar. Ann Budnar. That was her married name.
Is that related to the Bodners
Not
through
related? but
Adam,
it's-
probably.
but not
Yeah.
close?
Or maybe once.
It's
once
quite a
was
common name.
Oh, is it? Oh.
And I remember Percy Flieger and Steve and Ann, Dick, Mary, and Mother, they went down to Ann's place. And they had 4 big rooms downstairs and 4 fireplaces. And no insulation in the house, but of course it was a lot further south than here. In the summertime, they gave good circulation, but in the wintertime they had to really had to pour the wood to it in order to make the house work. I remember she had a whole bunch of kids, but I remember 3 boys, and they wanted to go fishing. They had a little creek running down through their place. So Steve showed them. They didn't have any line, they didn't have any hooks, but they saw the fish in there, they liked to catch them. So Steve said, well, let's go out and dig some worms. It was in the summertime. So they dug some worms in a can or something, and they got some store string, got a little piece of sapling, branch, and went down that way. Reached over here somewhere from his collar and took a head pin out, bent it, tied it on there, put a worm on there, and showed them how to fish. You want to get it near the fish. So then all the kids had fun. They didn't want to come back from the creek to eat. But what was so different about the place is how quiet it was there at nighttime. All you could hear is a dog off in the distance barking. No lights, no street there. It was more of a path getting to the house, and no lights. There's no place to go. They turned they didn't turn any lights on. They had kerosene lanterns. When it got dark, you went to bed.
One thing I remember was there was a house like a side, a little bit of a hill, and then there was a little valley, and over the other hill over there was a hole in the hill, and they go in there and dig out coal for themselves.
Oh yeah.
So you did go down to this Congo place?
No.
No.
Coshocton.
Congo was further south.
Yeah, where he died.
You did go to Coshocton then?
I took my mother to Coshocton to visit her half-sister, Mrs. Bodner.
That was the first time I saw anything except Bunker Hill in the higher Bunker Hill. It was beautiful rolling country, you know.
Yeah.
Boy, look at the mountains, look at the mountains. Of course, I saw mountains after a while, but this looks so beautiful to me. We had to get out and take pictures, of course, just in black and white. There wasn't the contrast, different shades or whatever, but you can remember more than the picture was worth.
So this was his second wife, was the wife that came over from Hungary. And you're saying that you think he had another wife?
Yeah.
Two more. Do you know how the wife died?
No.
Which?
But he fathered a bunch of children.
The last.
Some of them died right down there in their early youth.
The last wife lived around Detroit, didn't she? What was her name?
No, that wasn't his wife.
Was
was
daughter?
That was his daughter.
Oh.
His daughter and Castelli, Kushti.
Hushly, yeah.
I forget what the heck her name was.
They did come to Mother's funeral, didn't they?
No, John came.
One of them did. Somebody
John.
from up there did.
Yeah,
John Kushti.
John Kushti.
That would be the.
That was the one that came over from Hungary with her.
Oh.
He's living up there now, and he's a Lutheran. Married a very beautiful wife.
He's still alive?
Yeah. The last we heard. But Rose Cassidy.
Rose.
So I remember we went to Jimmy Hudok's place, which is just outside of
That's
Detroit.
a brother of Joe Hudak, who still lived in Ashtonville and still does. And I delivered milk to him on a street right off of West Street by Prospect Street.
He's dead now.
Joe is dead?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
He had a bypass done. He died on the table.
Oh. He was in the war and didn't hear from him for a long time. Thought he was dead, but he finally came home.
His boy works for Kmart in the drug department. Joe.
Oh.
Joe Hudak.
Where does his nephew work? I never see him anymore. his sister's boy. He used to work for the city.
Yeah,
He was dog catcher for a
yeah,
while.
yeah, I don't know. It was comical to see him and his wife on a little scooter.
Yeah, motor scooter. Big fat guys, you know, people each one, and tiny little scooter running along. Almost like a clown.
Who was at the geriatric center now? Sam Guzzo.
Yeah, I wanted to
What's
tell
the last
you- I-
name?
I
Sam
was gonna-
Guzzo?
I was gonna tell you.
Oh,
I finally
Oh, he's
found
at the
out.
geriatric center.
Jefferson Geriatric. Yeah.
I've been trying to find out his daughter's name and where she lives so I could give her a call and find out what happened to him. So I talked to her finally. They sent him from Asheville to the clinic. Thought they'd have to remove part of a lung. They diagnosed that he had lung cancer. But they made tests there that showed it was not lung cancer, but just a bad lung because of his double pneumonia and so on. So I still got to get down there and see him.
I told him that.
Sam would love to go to the nocturnal adoration. Be sure he gets to the rosary.
Yeah, he just got there, so he was still on bed rest, but he will be coming. He was all very happy
I
about
gave
it.
him a little booklet on the rosary and a couple of rosaries for Sacred Heart bags and stuff like that. Oh, he loved it so much. He got that booklet and he was reading through the mysteries, you know.
You have an extra calendar for him?
Yes, I'll give it
Sure
to
to
him.
bring it.
Okay,
I'll
great.
get you some more calendar.
Oh yeah, I got
If you
it.
talk to Father Malik, ask him to stop.
I told him he was there, so yeah, he will.
I think he'd probably even remember. At least.
Oh yes, he
He'd
remembers.
at least remember Joseph's brother August. August was a great man.
Real campaign.
Okay, great. He was like St. Joseph.
Augie campaign.
Did his work.
Augie campaign.
No big show, but he was there.
How many years was he secretary?
I was recording secretary, I think some 40 years.
Isn't that marvelous?
Wow.
And the last time he was recording secretary, he tried to get up, he fell out of the chair on the ground.
Oh,
And he wanted to get out of the job maybe 20 years earlier,
wow.
but he just couldn't find somebody who wanted
Nobody
to sit down.
wanted that
So
job.
he stayed,
Yeah.
did it, and read. So nice, he'd write. He'd sit there afterwards and write it all up. He'd take notes, write it all up so beautifully. And when he read the minutes, we could hardly hear him. He was just low, and everybody had to keep quiet. But when the kids were in Catholic kids were in the children's home, what is now a center for offices. Okay. Steve and he and guy lived next door. What was the name of those people? The Irish people. Francis.
Becky,
Next door to who?
To where Steve lived.
bedtime.
Oh, Sheehan.
Yeah, okay. These three people would go every Sunday and pick up the Catholic kids and bring them to school.
The only way they could get to.
You know, there's always two or three more to begin with that are going to help, but after a while it becomes so that, hey, okay, you can do it.
Yeah.
Well, up until when they decided that how did they decide it? I don't know, but anyway, they weren't allowed to come out of the place, or they put the Catholic kids in homes or something, private homes, so they didn't have to do that. Anytime there was
Let's go upstairs for a minute.
Oh, you're coming back down.
anything to be done, like when we painted the outside and the inside of the KC building, there's maybe 15, 20 guys there, and they dwindle down. August and Steve and myself is there, painting all day long if necessary to get it done. No arguing, no good. Say, hey, look at me, I painted the building. No, just well along as though it do what it's supposed to do. Sure miss him. And when we went to visit him on West Avenue, why, he was already blind. And he had a little television there, color television at the foot of the bed. He'd sit at the head of the bed, and you speak to me, you know who you are. Oh, Andrew, come on in. Gee whiz, you haven't been here for, so. Well, there's too many sick people around, so I give him some story. But he could recognize it if it was somebody that he had known before. And he'd stand up and shake hands, and he's all dressed up.
Tell him about poor Leo Bottinelli. Mr. Leo Bottinelli was a customer who every Christmas gave me a bottle of homemade wine for Christmas.
Yeah, he's in the Ray Ann Center in Geneva, across from the hospital.
Isn't that where Joe Campaign is?
No.
That's a different one.
I'll tell you about Joe. But this guy's over here, and he became very senile, and
He was a widower twice.
he went over twice. And after his second wife died, his daughters didn't want to come and help him or stay with him, and he didn't want to move, so he got a niece to come. And she drove him all around the place. Everything was just fine. Wherever he wanted to go, whatever he wanted to do, she was there taking care of him. And then when he got really sick and had to be put away, why the daughters, and he was left his home and his property to the other lady, the niece, yeah. And the daughters beat her out of it. She just disappeared. So there's one that comes to see him once a week. The last time, this has been over a year ago since I was out there. And he was confined to a chair, one of the big heavy chairs they could move around, but he couldn't tip it over or anything. So it just brings your heart to see these old people. Mrs. Oli
Came over and stayed with you?
I don't think it's
It wasn't her.
She was too old.
Not only that, but she had a pretty good sized family herself.
Okay, well.
And her husband died of cancer. He worked as a blacksmith at the railroad.
And had a big farm in
And he'd
Carson.
ride back and forth town. First he used to walk, then he got himself a bicycle. Then a little grade there because
Where is this?
past
Shock.
our
shock
house,
tender.
past our house now, the railroad. And the chum 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 chum, and every time they chug, the window would rattle.
Oh
You could tell, even if you couldn't hear it chug, the doggone train was coming because the window would rattle. Yeah, especially in the front room there, next to the porch. Chum, chum, chum. I fixed it so it wouldn't rattle after a while. But there were no engines. You couldn't hear anything out there. And it was so quiet. I only stayed 3 days, I think. First day I couldn't sleep. It was so quiet.
This is
Yeah,
too
I
quiet.
did. And I didn't dare get up to go anywhere. I didn't know the place. They had a dog. It was friendly, but I wasn't sure.
Didn't want to find out.
Boy.
Didn't want to go any place reminds me when Marie was staying at Marie Justine's place. It was night. She wanted to go home,
Yeah.
crying.
Well, we go home with some I said, okay, what I can do? I'll open the
Didn't know
door.
what to do and opened the door to go out. She looked at all dark out and turned around, crying.
Oh
One
dear.
time she was over our place. Mary brought it over our place. And she was running up and down the steps and up and down the walk. And Mary said, don't go too far now, don't go too far now, don't go too far. So she'd play around, hip, scop, whatever, jumping around on the sidewalk. And all of a sudden she comes running home, inside, close the door. What's the matter? The fathers are coming, the fathers are coming. Two nuns were coming down the street. The fathers are coming.
Almost as bad as Mrs. Becko's little girl. She was on her tricycle when I pulled up with the milk truck. She jumps off of that tricycle, found it falls, she runs it off. You're the Tatar! You're the Tatar! The Tartars are the big boogeyman for the Hungarians, I'm the Tatar! You're the Tatar!
Dear.
They told told me later they were just going to quit having home delivery of milk when I took over the harbor area, so they continued delivery. You know, Tata, I never forgot that poor little girl. She.
How many years back was it with the Tartars?
Oh, I don't know, 700 years or so.
The Hungarians never forget it.
No. See, Hungary was situated right in the path of every invasion from from Mongols and the Tartars and Turks and everybody else. They are always fighting to defend Christendom. They talk about some of these battles where their soldiers had gone to fight someplace else and they were being invaded. All the women mounted onto the walls defending the
towns.
Yeah.
Wow.
It took the Turks, I don't know how many years to overcome them, and they were the slaves of the Turks for, I don't know, 200-300 years.
The Hungarians.
Yeah, and all that area, Europe. Oh, the Turks.
Well, the Hungarians were known as the soldiers, and the Germans were known as the suppliers.
Huh.
They could supply stuff and do the mechanical work or engineering work or whatever, but it took the Hungarians to do the fighting. Yeah. The sad part of it is the people from the east begged to come in to Hungary because they were having a tough time against the people who were out there fighting them. So they let them in, and before you know it, they were taken over, and they were fighting the Hungarians.
All around the country. That's how these different nationalities got into the Austro-Hungarian Empire. And they asked to come to be protected by the central power there. But then after a while, they just caused a lot of trouble. And
you know, the Danube was nothing but a swamp. And the Hungarians made the ditch to make a river out of it. The Magyars, they come from, of course, Asia.
See, the Hungarians is not the right word for them. That refers to the Huns. The Huns were another pagan invader that tried to destroy the Magyars.
Well, when did it change from Magyars to Hungarians?
Well,
Why
the English-speaking people.
But you don't refer to it, over there they don't refer to themselves as the Magyars.
Magyars, sure they do.
Do they really?
Of course they do. This is Magyarország. Didn't you ever see one of the coins I brought home from there?
Yeah.
It says Magyar on it.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I want to tell you another little story. Mother, before she was coming over, why, sometimes they're sending from one village to another, and you had to go through woods, and you had to go by either around or through a graveyard. And she'd always prayed that she'd wondered what her mother looked like. She never saw her mother. She might have seen her when she was buried, you know, but that's exactly how she looked.
And she was 3 years old, you said?
Must have been before 3.
Before?
Because she had to go to work 3. But she just prayed to God all the time that she could see her mother. What did she look like? If you just see her mother, she'd be ready to die. So she was having this rough time. Of course, they had to go, and she was late getting started, and she knows she get balled out, she had to get back in time. They had to deliver something from this, or pick up something. And going through this graveyard. And then right down the middle of the cemetery, a woman was coming towards her. A young woman, wearing clothes that people around that area never wore anymore. Different style, you know. And mother went up closer and closer, and the woman just looking straight ahead and walking slowly. So she got up and she looked, and she asked him again, "Who are you? Who are you?" And the woman kept coming, you know. And all of a sudden she got scared and ran away. Mother. She said, "I believe God let me see my mother."
Oh, wow.
And she described the clothes that the woman was wearing, and they said that was in the past generation. People wore clothes like that around there.
Wow. How did she give you an idea about how old she was?
Just before
Before they come across. That was been around 16.
15, 16 years old.
Wow.
Another story she told me many times, how her stepmother sent the other kids somewhere to a different place, and she would make arrangements to leave her with a Jewish family. She didn't want nothing to do with her, and didn't want her responsibilities, wasn't her daughter, and so on. Anyway, of course, I always call her Mama, Mother, and she left, and they put her up on the cart or the wagon for the Jew, and she got up one after another, got a hold of her skirts and wouldn't let go, you know. And finally, one of the officials of the town come along and asked what's happening. Well, he said she made arrangements for this girl to stay with these Jews, and they take care of her. Well, whose daughter is she? She's not mine. My husband's. Oh, well, he says, you take her with you.
Huh.
So took her with her. But see, she wasn't very kind to Mother at all. But then again,
So it was this town official that told her to take her with her to the
take the daughter with you.
to the new country.
New country, yeah.
And you had said that you had
New
thought,
village. I know where they. I think they were heading for, and trying to get him to go towards the United States.
and you said some woman told her to take her to the new country.
I thought it was a woman. Apparently, it was somebody.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
I don't remember for sure.
And as they were going, they're going afoot, walking. They walk all day and find a place to sleep at night. So it was raining. They stopped at this one place, and there were only men and one woman in the place, and they were asking for a place just to put their head down and out of the rain. They didn't want a bed, they didn't want nothing to eat, they just wanted to stay out of the way, and then they'd leave early in the morning. So Mother was afraid something wrong here. So it didn't look right. It didn't look right. Didn't look like a home at all. So they put them in a room, had one window in it, and Mother kept asking her stepmother, "Let's go, Mother, let's go. Let's get out of this place. This is no good. I feel something awful. Let's get out of it. This is no good." And Mother wouldn't quit until they climbed out the window and went. They pulled the window shut and went off. And shortly afterwards, they could hear dogs out howling, barking, and the guys with lanterns running around. They're trying to find the two of them. And they went on further, and they come to a house of a judge.
Who had who had the dogs and the lantern?
People in the house.
People in that house where they were just at.
Stopped. Correct.
And they were now out looking for
them.
And there were how many of them?
I think there were 2 men or 3 men and 1 woman.
Looking for them.
But they went on further.
And your mother
Had one person with her. The others they had put on another wagon to go.
Okay. So when they wanted to continue down the road and off the road a little bit, so they couldn't find them, but they kept on going in the right direction. They thought it was right. They finally come to another farmhouse, and they went this and looked better, so they pounded on the door, and lo and behold, it was a judge. And they told her what had happened. She said, "Well, you can thank God for what your daughter did, because you'd have been slaves there for the rest of your lives."
Oh my.
Probably a house of prostitution.
You'd been there, you'd have been there for the rest of your lives.
Had you heard that story before? Wow.
Wow. Tom, you got your math done yet?
I'm working on it.
Okay.
Another time,
Talk about a hard life.
her father was in the United States, and the stepmother was a very beautiful woman. One of the neighbors come along, and he wanted to have her. In fact, he got her down on the ground. He was going to work on her. And mother happened to be coming up from the
Field.
Not the field, but
The barn. Porch.
water pump.
Oh,
Well,
a water pump.
This was still
From the
Hungary
well.
now?
From the
And
well. pitcher of water, and she sees the guy, but she grabs a plank and racks him across the back. Of course it hurt, but he jumped up and chasing her, but she was, I don't know, 15 or so, and she could run faster. He ran and ran and ran and ran. She said, I think I was going to be able to make it, but he finally gave up. He saved his mother, she saved her mother twice.
Wow.
Right in daylight, see? Nobody else around, you know, what the heck. You've seen these Western movies, what they do, or these movies today.
And she still was going to leave her there with the Jews.
But then she had to depend on her to take the rest of them over. Bring them over.
I was trying to figure out the names here. Your mother's father's name was, you said, how do you say Michal?
Mihai Tokai.
Mihai, okay. Do we know what her grandmother's name would have been? Did she ever tell you?
Yeah, we got it home in the Bible.
Oh, really?
Getsy.
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 How would you spell that?
Now, the Americanized version is G-E-T-S-Y, but the real Hungarian spelling is G-E-C-Z-I. Gatesy.
Do you know what her first name was?
No.
Is it in the Bible?
Yeah.
Okay.
All these stones.
Dad's name is in there too.
All these stones that Jerry took pictures of, the name is Gatesy, not Getsy. The Americanized version is Getsy. That's not correct.
Andy Getsy died here.
Just recently, yeah.
Okay, so your father's your
Father's name was Torma.
parents, his
John.
brothers, so that would be grandfather.
He had a stepfather. My dad had a stepfather.
That was his stepfather.
You know, that
Torma was his real name.
Oh, his real name
Kochak.
Kochak, like Steve Kochak.
was the stepfather.
That's correct. I don't know what his first name was, stepfather, but it was Kochak.
Do you know what his biological father's first name was? So it would be your grandfather?
We got that, but I don't have it here in my mind.
Okay. And then the grandmother, do you remember, does anyone know what her name would have been?
No, that's there also.
That's how far back in the Bible that you have written down, how far back do you have?
Just to them.
Oh, that's
They
great.
started it.
That's great. I didn't know you had that.
They started it. It's not complete yet. I have to add additions. People left us.
Not too many people know anything further back. You know?
Yeah.
I don't think there's any relatives around us
That know it, no.
that know it. Anyway, this Rose Castelli went up to see Jim Hudak, and he explained how to get to this place. So we did. It was in the afternoon, and her daughter and she was home, and her husband had died. Castelli had died.
How do you spell that?
Kashti. K-A-S-T-L-Y, Castelli. And that's like a castle.
Yeah, yeah.
And any of the poor people, poor girls ever to work in the Kashti never came back. They used them. Made slaves out of them. Rich bastards. Anyway.
Helps to hearing those stories helps to understand the fuel behind the revolution.
Oh, yeah.
No. Oh yeah, at home. So I went up, rapped on her door, and she looked at me and says, "Hello, Aunt Rose, how are you?" Yeah, I'm Andrew Torma. Brought my mother up here to visit. May we come in? I stood at the door for a while.
That's at 6K?
daughter says, "Ah, let him in." So I went out to the car to get mother, and went in and we had a nice little talk. Not a very friendly talk at first, because she was just too snooty for anybody.
Oh yeah, she was like that.
Spoiled brat to begin with. But
Stepmother was
and her husband made lots of money, so they were well off, and we were always poor.
What did he do? Do you remember?
I don't know if he worked for the railroad or who he worked for, but he had a good job. Had a good job. And he had a boy and a daughter, boy and a girl. We met the boy. He was a good friend of Jimmy Woodon. Real nice guy, real nice guy. Nothing like his mother. But we stayed and had a little bit of lunch yet. And we did him goodbye. And we sent him cards, and I think they sent cards once. And Jimmy Hudak told us that Mrs. Casterly was very ill, so we sent him sympathy cards and whatever, never got an answer. And of course, we asked Jim to tell him, when she died, we'd like to know. If go to funeral, at least have a mass. I'd like to go to funeral if anybody else can go. But she died and nobody sent any.
There's some more paper you can put in there.
Where?
Right there.
No way! That's my art.
Oh, it doesn't look like
Is that your heart?
No!
You got a square heart?
My art.
Oh, Art.
Jeez,
You're English, can't even pronounce your ages
I didn't know
anymore.
your boyfriend's name was Arthur.
I'm gonna use this on you guys.
Don't do that, you'll break the wood.
Yeah, I know.
Especially if you hit us in the head.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How's your head?
Fine.
Yeah?
You
Yeah.
don't get headaches no more?
Oh, I gotta go back.
I have to do the job, huh?
Otherwise, so long. Let's just take
Look what happens
Look,
though when I blew in
got
there.
blow and sun and it down. They say it'll take a couple hours.
Did you
So
blow?
if I had this cough, dry cough, after every big cold, it lasts and lasts and lasts.
She
It
always
finally
does
goes
that.
away. But sometimes even in the summertime I cough. Then there's nothing coming out. There's something irritates you. It's like I go outside now,
Do the job.
take a whiff of cold air, I'm gonna cough. And if I just cough 2 or 3 times, nothing comes up. But I keep coughing and force it a little bit. Finally I get some mucus up. And there's some real heavy stuff down there. Because when it doesn't want to break off, it's trying to come up and I'm choking it. If you go into church, on the right-hand side, I think probably the picture is still there.
Oh, yeah.
And some of the women were asking me, they thought I was an old-timer. I could, but I'd really beyond before my time. As you can ask your grandfathers or somebody, but that's where you used to tie the horses up and water the horses.
They come to
They come to
church in
mass.
the buggy.
Wow.
Remember, we used to run around that Colleen. We knew every nook and cranny, where to run and where to get some new guys playing dog and deer, and they start generally about
Dog and deer, huh?
Dog and deer, yeah.
Ever play that?
Uh,
You never.
They choose up sides. There'd be probably 2 dogs, and the rest were all deer. So we had to run and catch him, hit him on the back 3 times, and then he'd become a dog. So until he catch everybody. Well, here comes the dusk, and we're all gathering at St. Joe's schoolyard. And those younger kids like myself, we know how to duck over the gully and where to hide and what path to go down so we don't catch our feet and go all over the place. Well, George Brown was generally with us also. He couldn't stay at night.
No, for you. I left it.
I knew I wouldn't get it back. I might as well just drink it before he gets it.
Can't tell what it is,
You know what it is?
I ain't gonna say it.
It's a volley.
booze in the refrigerators?
Yeah.
It's a combination. It's homemade fruit punch.
I taste something like oranges or lemon.
Lemon, grape and lemon and apple.
Brought some more lime.
Oh, good. I've just used it. That's the mix that's in there now. I just
Did you
finished up the last one.
finish your wine? Your
No,
wine?
no.
How come?
I use it now for cooking too.
You do? She's wasting it.
Yeah. That's
No,
a shame
I'm
to
not.
waste it.
Sure.
It's such a treat to
You're
have
supposed
some
to drink
wine.
it, not wine it.
We're gonna have to
Well,
make
both.
some next year.
I'm lucky just to get my grape juice together.
Oh, we can go out and pick some somewhere and we'll juice it and make it.
Mom,
What?
what's Mike and Sherry's phone number?
2945.
We'll have to find some containers. I don't mean jugs. I mean little barrels or kegs or something. If we can find somebody that didn't want to return their stainless steel beer keg.
Yeah, right. Find
You can
somebody
use-
that didn't want to return
can-
I left you a little bit more.
No, I don't want any more. I don't want
No,
any more.
thank you.
I don't want any more because it's gonna spoil me.
You're spoiled already.
No, I'm not. I'm just rotten. But, sure, you got to stay here and there's no reason why you can't make something.
No, no reason at all.
I'll show you.
I believe you will.
And
But I gotta get my grape juice in first.
I don't care about your grapes. But I don't want to go back and pick where I did. It's all overhead.
No, that's too
It was
much.
all overhead and I was so tired.
Oh, yeah.
Took me almost 2 weeks to pick it. And Mike Rose came and in a half a day he picked almost as much as I did in 2 weeks. And to get up there, my hands would just fall
Oh, yeah.
down. Just fall down.
Too
I
much.
could stand on your shoulder and pick.
No, and then you'd be up too high.
I
It
could
was
bend
the wrong-
over
it was wrong-
and pick
the
like
Italian
this.
people were short. And the women owned the place is short. I don't think she's 5'2".
Well, how did she ever get up to him?
They used a step ladder.
Oh.
But I get up on the step ladder and my head is right up in the place. And they didn't have it pruned for, I don't know, 3-4 years.
Oh, wow.
All this dead stuff in there.
Why didn't you use Danny's?
I did.
Oh, you needed more beyond that.
That's where I got the different color grape,
Oh.
the wine.
Uh-huh.
I use white grapes from this lady's place. I use the pink grapes, some blue grapes from Joe's place. Then some of the pink grapes were not a bit ripe. I picked them too. You know, where you were picking, and on this side it wasn't even ripe. I put that all together. I got that separate rather than the other, and that's the one that's really dry wine. Woof. Almost like vinegar. But I gave so much away, there's hardly enough left for me to drink down. So I keep it down in the basement. I don't keep it upstairs because it'll be gone too soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it evaporates too fast upstairs.
I got 2 big globes. Like here. There was wine in it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's heavy glass, and I was astounded what I had to pay for. $30 a piece.
Wow.
I ordered them through the fruit man, you know, and I didn't dare say I didn't want them both. I thought he was going to give me some little kegs. See, I had 30-gallon, 10 and a 5-gallon kegs. And after a while, I got so I wasn't feeling well enough. I'm not going to make them all. I cleaned out the basement. In fact, they still had wine in one.
Oh
I
my
tried to make it a
God.
different way. I put skins and all in it, you know.
Uh-huh.
And after a while, if you don't wet that barrel down, it all evaporates. You got to keep that wood wet.
Sure.
I forgot about it. Went there and tipped it over, nothing come out. Put a stick in there. Hey,
There's something in
this
there.
is dry enough. This is dry enough for the birds to make a nest in here. So I had to put it in soak it, and it was leaking, you know. That place to get swallowed up. Eventually, I got it all out. And it still smelled good, you know. It didn't have any musty taste smell in it. So I took those 3 kegs and I put them on the tree lawn. They weren't very long. Somebody picked them up right away.
Oh, yeah.
See, the big ones now cost $70.
Oh, my
50
God.
gallon keg barrels got $50.